Hey everybody, my name is Jacob Roki. I'm a mechanical engineer by schooling. I currently just got a new job with Rivian Automotive, kind of a new electric vehicle maker. Our group is going to be presenting effective delegation and leadership.
Hi everyone, my name is Austin Duffield. I am currently a district sales manager for Campbell Soup. And I don't really know where to go from there. We can cut that out if we need to, I don't know.
Hi everyone, I'm Margaret Baskin. I'm currently working at Northwood Country Club as a staff accountant.
Hello everybody, my name is Rhonda Miller. I am a civil engineer officer and a 20-year vet in the United States Navy.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam Beaver. I'm a process engineer in Knoxville. I went to school for mechanical engineering.
So we're going to do kind of a panel discussion here. Each of us is going to present a topic. Austin is going to start us out with how to pick the right person to delegate to.
So I think we all know from our leadership experiences that a lot goes into it. And one of the things that can save us a lot of time is choosing the right person. So with regards to delegation, as far as ensuring the job gets done correctly, if you don't delegate correctly, you will find yourself doing a lot of that work yourself or having to backtrack. Through Jim Collins' Good to Great, one important thing that I think should be noted in chapter 3 is it's titled First Who, Then What. And basically what he's touching on and what's super important about this is not only finding the right person, but it also gives us as leaders the opportunity to not give up on people. So someone might be great at one thing, but not another. And as leaders, what our job is to kind of discover what these people's talents are and put them in the right spot. What Jim Collins' analogy is finding the right spot on the bus. So basically what he's saying is someone might be great at sales or marketing, or could be the actual execution of the operational side of whatever project is being executed. And from that perspective, what we're looking for is to get people in what is going to make them flourish the most. And by doing that, it does a couple of things. It shows your team that you're invested not only in the entirety of the project, but also in them. You're helping them find what their talents are and what their interests are and how they can execute based on those. And what it will do is save you time. So as I'm showing people how to do things and teaching them new things, I'm not having to execute those on my own anymore. I can give those to other people to do, and that helps build trust with them and help them establish themselves with whatever organization that they're with.
Okay, so like Austin said, to delegate, you should delegate your whole project because that'll free up time for you to work on other tasks, do some planning and organizing, and it will take things off your plate. It'll lower the chance of making mistakes because you don't want to do that while you're working on such big projects. It'll allow team development. It'll allow your team members to develop new skills and the skills that could be used within that project and be used in the future projects. The only way for them to learn is to start from the beginning to end. That's why you should give them their whole project instead of just be like, oh, you did the beginning and here you finish it. I did this and this and this. Then they don't know how to do the whole thing. It'll help them build time management skills and be efficient and productive. It'll build trust, like Austin said. You got to trust your team to be able to pass on that kind of responsibility and let them work on it. And that way, eventually, you'll be able to pass on that project to them and you won't have to worry about it if it's ever going to get done or is it going to be done correctly. Just build trust. And once you give it to them, let them work it. Don't micromanage. But also, once you give it to them, if they need help, be their support system and just be there to guide them if they have any problems. But other than that, once you give it to them, let them work. And once they're done, you can look over it, make sure it's done right, and then move on.
Excellent.
Hello. As Margaret said, that it's important to delegate the whole project to your members and let them run with it. In order to do that, they have to understand what the expectation is. Now, why is this important? It's important because without the expectation and without them knowing exactly what the end state is or what the final goal is, then they will have no way of knowing what the final product is. A good example is, imagine if you told somebody that you wanted to build a desk and you gave them all the parts, but you didn't show them the picture of what the desk is supposed to look like. You can imagine the different variations of a desk that you would end up with. So if you show them the picture and you actually explain to them what you want and what you're going to be using it for, then you won't have to worry about rework, and you won't have to worry about them wasting time on things that didn't fit your expectation. One of the things is too, but you don't want to over direct them. You want to make sure that you give them a clear, decisive idea of what you want, and then let them do it. Because the more instruction you give them, the less innovation that they have, the less buy-in they have, and the less ideas on how to maybe make a product better you will have. Now, sometimes you may have a situation where it is important that they do it a specific way, and then you would give them more of the how, but most of the time you try not to give them the how any more than you have to. It's also important to make sure that you have two-way communication when you're doing your the expectations. Make sure that you follow up the clarification answers and questions to make sure that they understand what your intent or what your expectations are. According to the Marine Corps planning process, this is the most important step of planning a mission or planning a project, is making sure that you get the expectations, the intent right, because this is considered the foundation of your project. If your people don't understand what they're doing it or why they're doing it or what needs to be done, then there's absolutely no way that they'll be able to do it properly. If you're going to give your expectations in writing, either through an email or instructions, one thing that they teach us in the military is to keep it short. You don't want it to be over wordy, but you don't want it to be so short that they don't understand the whole picture. They don't see the big picture. But you also don't want it so long that you'll lose people or you confuse people on what the expectation is. And as Margaret said earlier, and then follow up and keep adjusting that expectation with them as they go through step by step to make sure that that expectation is continuously being monitored as well with the project to make sure that they're on the right road.
I'll be talking about how to give team members the resources they need to succeed. So in doing so, you want to think in broad terms about what resources the people that you're delegating the work to might need. Some of those resources could be funding. It could be that you just give them money to start off with in a project, or you show them actually how to go get the funding they need. Another potential resource could be people, and you don't know, you're not necessarily, do you give them more people to work with, or do you make introductions of how to find the right people to help you on your project? And then other examples of this are tools and software and training, basically anything to help employees handle issues as they come up and complete the assignment on their own. The end goal is that you want to empower the people that you're delegating to resolve concerns themselves, and in turn this helps develop their skills as well. And part of all this, you want to create an environment that allows employees to feel comfortable bringing issues up as they arise and when to ask for help. But this doesn't mean that you want them always asking for help. Harvard's business reviews 4 ways leaders can protect their time and empower their teams. They said an example of this, that you can help prevent kind of that constant asking for help by setting aside time on a calendar to maybe check in with a project, so that time, their ability to ask is isolated a certain amount of time. And one of their little excerpts out of that too is they had some script of, imitated dialogue of employees asking their boss for help of, hey, can you check this out real quick if you get time? And then they ask again without the boss responding. And then the third time they ask, it's, oh, we figured it out, never mind. So you don't want to like spoon feed them, but you also want them to not get stuck and be able to think on their own. So once your followers get the resources they need, this allows them to function more independently. And then Sam's going to show us through why people, maybe some misconceptions of why people wouldn't want to delegate.
Right. So in a lot of situations, there are some obstacles when it comes to delegation. The biggest one, I think, by far, is people really need to get things done like as soon as possible. And so people don't want to delegate work because they're confident in their own abilities to get it done faster and better than the person that they delegate to. So delegating really takes a lot of patience. It takes patience to allow someone to learn. There's a learning curve. It's a process. And so people have to be a little bit more okay with it taking longer and maybe having a few more mistakes than the subject matter expert would typically have. And that's one real reason why delegators have a hard time doing it. Also, just sometimes it's hard to identify a good team member. Partially because of that is because it's a training process, and so you're looking at the knowledge that people have and who could fill that role and who could complete a project. And sometimes it's multiple people. Sometimes you have to break up a project into some smaller tasks and gain some traction and kind of a group atmosphere. And another kind of big topic when it comes to failure of delegation is lack of support. Some people, whenever they delegate a task, first of all, a lot of tasks that typically get delegated are the ones that people don't want to do, which can have negative effects. Leaders have to be pretty good about, if there is a task that's not necessarily everyone's favorite thing to do, they have to explain why it's necessary and the benefits of it and kind of see a bigger picture. But then in addition to that, also be giving projects to the people that are interesting and that will help them grow a lot. And so just not just grunt work. And then throughout the process, as everyone in this group has said, the leader has to be supportive, but not to a certain extent of reverse delegation, which I read about in a couple of different articles. Harvard Business Review's 8 ways leaders delegate successfully, and then to be a great leader, you have to learn how to delegate well. There's a couple good articles there, but reverse delegation is something that can happen when you've delegated and that person keeps coming back to you with questions, and having delegated that, you start to lack confidence, and then just all of a sudden you have the project again and your attempt to delegate didn't work. And so it's really, the big thing is patience, patience with the person to learn and be okay with a few different mistakes. I mean, you might have been the subject matter expert in the past and you had your way of doing things, you had a standard, but there's typically more than one way to do something right. And so you have to be okay with people taking a different process. And so those are just a few things that kind of get overlooked and cause some delegating to fail, and that need to be addressed in order for it to be successful. So kind of as a summary of what Austin said, you got to pick the right person for the job. And Margaret said you have to delegate the entire project, so not just a part of it. You have to allow them to feel responsible and accountable for it. And then Rhonda make sure that everyone knew that you have to ensure the staff knows what is expected of them and why. You know, clear direction and instruction, and just really just clarity, not leaving it ambiguous to just, that's kind of destined to fail if there's any sort of direction that's left to the delegatee. And then Jacob said, you know, you got to make sure that team members have the resources that they need, whether that's you or other subject matter experts or any sort of research. And then I kind of went basically through what everyone else said of why, you know, it doesn't always happen and why it fails, and just reiterated some of the stuff that needs to be addressed. So.
Awesome job, Sam. Much appreciated. Hopefully everyone enjoyed our presentation. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.